Welcome back to Tariff by the Bay. I'm David. I was going to do something a little bit different tonight. I was going to read on, what's coming up for Trump over the next few weeks. But as I was going over the comments, and that might be a video I do tomorrow, but as I was going over the comments tonight for the MAGA farmer who effed around and is finding out, but still won't admit, he's a tough nut to crack, as it were. Somebody in the comments, one of the first responders in the comments asked, what can we do to get through these economic rough times? And I think we will be going through some economic rough times. This is not just me throwing cards on it. This is just taking logic and looking at the facts. With the implementation of tariffs, that's going to be inflationary. Prices are going to go up. Things are going to get more expensive. Lots of things are going to get more expensive. And so you're going to... and likely your paycheck, especially if you're on a fixed income or on Social Security or something like that, that's not going to keep up. They do add an inflationary component to it, but I don't know if it's going to keep up. It'll be nice if it does. So, back to the question, what can you do? And this goes back to a session I do with this woman named Liz, who channels an old soul named Ruthie. And I've talked about this once before on this channel, but I think it'll bear repeating. I do this as a treat for myself every year. It's usually in the fall. And just finding out what's going on. And Liz and Ruthie do a really nice job. Ruthie was the one that saw Donald Trump getting into office, and I try not to argue with the folks doing readings for me, but it's just like you're pushing back. It's like, you can't be serious, man. That guy's... There's no way. Man, Ruthie was right. She felt that Trump energy coming back. She's been, for the last couple years, I think in 2023, Liz and Ruthie were saying, things are going to be doing well in 2023. It's when it's sunny, make hay. But she was telling me, like, going 2024, if you've got extra money coming in, like say from a bonus or something like that, try and just squirrel that away. Don't spend it. Save it. Because she saw some economic hard times coming, which didn't really manifest in 2024, but you can start to see the storm clouds forming in 2025. And the tariffs are going to be something that speeds up that whole process. Trying to get rid of undocumented workers, the ones who pick our crops, that's going to make food prices a lot more expensive too. And although Ruthie wasn't getting specific into that, she was saying, think of 2025. The theme should be back to basics. So, and whatever that means to you, that should be a personal thing. But she saw 2025 energy, basically that there's going to be some economic hard times in the United States. And the way to combat it, as somebody had asked in the comments, how do you combat that? Going back to basics. Keeping things simple. Don't do fancy stuff. If you're planning on taking that trip to Europe or something like that, maybe you put that off. If you're going to take a vacation, make it a local vacation. Don't stay at the fancy hotel if you can avoid it. Now, that type of thing. Now, I'm not saying don't deny yourself the small pleasures that you have in this world, but maybe the big ticket items you put off for a little bit, just so that you are financially in better shape. For those that are literally living paycheck to paycheck, I don't have a great response for you on that. Again, cutting back where you can, maybe evaluating where your money's being spent. And it could be, you got a Netflix account that you don't use, and you're spending $10 a month on that. Maybe that, or $20 a month on that. Maybe that's just something that you give up. and you save $20 a month that way. And there could be a couple subscriptions, magazine subscriptions, or newspaper subscriptions, or you've got YouTube Premium, which it's great for $20 not to have to watch the commercials, but the commercials can be skipped in a little bit, and maybe it's worth saving the money on that. Wait, or pick up a side hustle, kind of like this. So I want to read on not so much the economy, but the economic weather as it is for the United States in 2025, and then I'll follow up with what people could do about that, with the back to basics being the theme with this. Okay, and we'll see what we can divine from what's coming up for this year. Okay, so not trying to give financial advice, not trying to tell you what to invest in or anything along those lines. Heaven forbid. I've got I would do it for myself. I'm not doing it for you because I don't want to take responsibility for how you spend your money. Just saying. All right, come on down. Let's do this for our entertainment purpose only, so we don't get sued and all that. Or if we do get sued, we can at least say, hey, it was for entertainment purposes only. Tried to put that up front, put it in the description too. Let's take a look at the economic weather of the United States in 2025. Okay, so foundation of the reading is the Ten of Cups. Again, when it's sunny, make hay, but you only get a rainbow when it rains. So it could be that we're starting off sunny, but there might be some rain coming up here. Cross of the Page of Wands, messaging of actions. Oh, yeah, okay, I think I can kind of see where this is going. Right now, things are okay. Because the tariffs and the economic, basically the Republican Congress hasn't come up with the budget yet. But underneath it, this is what Congress plans on doing with the budget may very well upset the nice economic times that we've had from post-COVID. Okay? There's talking about actions. And if you've heard the Republicans, oh God, here's the pass card. If you heard what the Republicans are talking about, now they're talking about getting rid of Medicaid, wanting to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. Cut all sorts of programs that impact the poorest people. They want to raise taxes on the poorest people so that the wealthiest people can keep their tax breaks. Tell me how that makes sense. But it's money, and evaluating your money. In the past, we got the Devil card. Now, instead of just laying this out as, it's Donald Trump again, let's look at this as avarice, greed, sloth. What are the 7 deadly sins here? Just kind of the eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die type of thing. Not worrying about the future, just living in the present. In a kind of like a wasteful style. Current situation is the 6 of Wands. Where are we going to go with that? Leadership. Oh, leadership. I like leadership. You have to watch what the leaders are doing. Where are they leading this country? Right now, Trump and Trumpism is back, and they've got control of all the branches of government. So any economic policies that are put forward, any actions that are taken, are going to be taken by them. And what they're saying they want to do is not conducive to anybody who relies on the government for money. Overarching energy, there's your, evaluating your money, holding on to your pennies. Locking down. To me, this is actually a very good card for back to basics type of thing. With Elon Musk running around like a toddler with a hammer in a china shop, and the Republicans coming up with horrific cuts to government spending, they really want to shrink the social programs that money is spent on. I don't suspect the military is going to get much of a budget cut, but you can expect, food subsidy programs to get hit here. So, start thinking about saving the money now. How can you cut your expenses to hold on to your money? Because folks will want to take that from you. That's an interesting one. Lesson to be learned. You heard of the term retail therapy? Do not base a lot of the economy, it's funny you should say this, a lot of the economy is based on people's emotions. It's their, what do they think is going to happen? If they feel good, they spend money. They don't hold on to it, they spend it. Because they'll just make more. Or, I want something now and I'll pay the bill later. But at some point, the bill's going to come due. And you're going to have to pay it. And with, you can still be optimistic about the economy. That doesn't mean, going back to basics does not mean that you're living in fear. What you're doing, you're taking a proactive approach to modifying your lifestyle in case something bad happens. There's very little downside to going back to basics. Yeah, maybe you don't enjoy something really special that you've taken for granted or something along those lines. But, and I'm not saying being a miser, but having that nest egg building up, or having a rainy day fund, maybe not a nest egg, but like a rainy day fund. And there's your rainy day fund right there with the rain coming off of the cup. Having a rainy day fund is important because if something happens, you've got a financial safety net to fall down into. And what the Republicans look like they're doing is they're going to try and take away those financial safety nets, or cut holes in them, as it were. It's not kind. The outcome is the King of Pentacles. The wealthy want to hold on to their money, and they want even more money. They are not going to want to give up the tax cuts that Donald Trump gave them. Now, I want to remind you that when Donald Trump passed his tax plan in 2018, the quote-unquote tax breaks for the non-wealthy, those sunset in 2025. They'll be gone by the end of the year. But the tax breaks that he gave to wealthier people, those don't go away. Those are in perpetuity. So, which is why, and if you think about it, back in 2018, there were supposed to be two things Congress was supposed to do. They were supposed to give their tax cuts to the wealthy and the corporations, and then they were going to cut services. They never got around to the cutting services part because, they wanted to be reelected. So they gave a big tax cut to people, cut government revenue, but they didn't cut government spending. So that's how Trump blew up the deficit by trillions of dollars. Okay? Now, with Trump back in there, the Republicans now have to deal with those tax cuts, and they don't want to get rid of the tax cuts for the wealthy. So all they can do is cut government spending. They have to now do what they didn't do back in 2018, which means they never had to pay a political price for their tax breaks for the Elon Musks of the world. And they don't, and the wealthy people don't want to give up their whatever tax benefits they have. So now it's up to Congress to come up with the Republicans in Congress to come up with a way to help offset the budget deficit that they created. And with them looking at things to cut, they want to cut like $2 trillion over the next 10 years, I think it is, or something like that. They don't have the programs to do it. There's just you're gonna have to touch sacred cows if you do that. You have to cut military spending a lot, and then do you really want to go after Social Security and Medicare? They're willing to go after Medicaid, but are you willing to go after those other ones too? Okay. For Carter, will there be an economic decline or money tightening, as it were, before the end of 2025? Just look how the money situation is, the general wealth of the non-wealthy here. Three of Wands. There's something coming. It may not fully manifest. I think it will manifest in 2025, but it's coming. Get ready for it. Don't know when it is, but it's almost like it's destined to come. It's definitely coming. It's going to be a hard one too. Yeah. This is paying the piper. The Three of Wands is waiting for something to arrive. The worst may not hit in 2025, but it's coming. But basically, the bill is coming due. You can't party forever. At some point, you got to pay the bill. You never know when the bill is going to come due, but when it does come due, it's going to cause a lot of problems. So we might have a bit of a reprieve in this country before the worst of it. We may not see the worst of it in 2025. 2025 may be a build-up, and then the worst may come later. But again, a lot of it depends on Congress. But even still, if you want to look at it another way with that Three of Wands is we've been kicking the can down the road for a long time. With the Page of Coins underneath it is, making our children and our grandchildren pay for all the programs and stuff that we had growing up. And at some point, again, you can't do that forever. At some point, the bill comes due. And that's kind of the thing that the Republicans are trying to go for. What they're trying to say is, at least the financial hawks are saying, is you got to stop spending all this money. You can't just spend money you don't have and run deficits. I don't understand why Congress isn't trying to pass like a balanced budget amendment. They talked about that in the 90s. And that's back when Clinton was president and the economy was doing well and they could balance the budget. So why not? And I remember Bob Brinker was a financial expert I used to listen to, was talking about, well, they should just pass an amendment. What state's going to say no? We don't want a balanced budget. And then you can just freeze the deficit, and then inflation will erode the deficit over time. You don't have to pay down the deficit. Inflation will take care of it for you. Because let's say the deficit was $100 billion or something like that. It's after time, inflation is going to cut it down to 50 billion and then 25 billion and then 10 billion, or by the buying power of the money to the point where it's trivialized. And then, it's easily paid off at that point. You just don't want to keep adding to it. Okay. Back to basics. 20 minutes in, we're finally getting to the part of the reading I wanted to start off with. What can people do? Tell me about back to basics, how that works, how that looks, just the energy of that. We'll do a 7-carder. How's back to basics? Okay. 10 of Wands. Staying on top of the heap is difficult. You have to become more efficient with what you're doing. This person's carrying a heavy load, but the way they're carrying it, it's front heavy. They could put this on their back and things would be a lot simpler. You've got to, so what this tells me is you've got to simplify your life. Don't make your life complicated. Simplify it, which is a back to basics core tenet, right? Simplify your life. Make life easier on yourself. Eight of Wands is the cross with the Justice card underneath it. Make life easier on yourself. Don't make life difficult on yourself. Because if you make life easier on yourself, you're more adaptable to change as change comes and hits you. If you're doing it this way, when change hits, you're going to drop your load. It's just going to wreck you. So change is going to come quick. And it could just be that simplifying your life can be something that's done quickly. Underneath is the Justice card. It's finding balance in your life too. Fair and balanced. Don't live outside your means. Live comfortably, but within your means. Back to basics. Again, a very simple rule to follow as far as that goes. In the past, the Nine of Wands, warning. You can see things coming, progressing from the Nine of Wands to the Ten of Wands. Now, how am I going to get through this? We've got the Eight of Wands. We've got the 8, 9, and the 10. What a fun little trifecta there. Instead of worrying about what's going to happen, go ahead and take action. Make it quick action if you can, but take quick action to simplify things. Bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? If there are programs to help you, don't be too proud to take advantage of them. Part of going back to basics is saving the money that you do have. Don't be a spendthrift. Maybe Starbucks is something that, I'm just throwing something out there. Maybe Starbucks is something that you do like on a daily basis. And maybe one thing that you could do is, cut down your Starbucks visits. Make your coffee at home. A whole lot cheaper to buy the beans and make it at home than it is to go out and have somebody make it for you. Does it take more time? Yeah, it does. But if you start tabulating out at basically $6 a latte, and if you throw $1 tip in there, that's $7. And if you do that, 30 every day of the month, you're looking at $210 a month that you're spending on your morning coffee. If you make your own, you're probably down to about $20 a month. So you're saving like $190. So that's just one way. You can think of the money that you're saving as, think of it how long it takes you to earn it. If you save $1, remember, if you earn $1, remember you're paying Social Security on it, you're paying federal income tax, state income tax, disability, all these things. So that maybe you only end up with 60 cents for every dollar you make, or 75 cents for every dollar you make, depending on what tax bracket you're in. So if you can save $10 and you're in, let's say you're in a 25% tax bracket, you actually have to earn more like, it's going to be 4/3, 40. You have to earn over $13 then after taxes before you have $10 left. So saving $10 is really like earning 13. And for a lot of us, we don't necessarily have a way to earn extra income. So just like Congress with the budget, if you can't raise more revenue, then you need to cut back expenses. That's all. Can you live without your coffee in the morning? Probably not. But if you make it yourself, it's going to be less expensive than if you go out and have somebody make it for you. That's the point. Now, when I say about you don't have to deny yourself, make Sunday your coffee day, where you're going to go to Starbucks and have them make your coffee. That's your treat. We're going to go out. I'm going to splurge on that one, and then you're still saving $150 a month or something along those lines. That's just trying to come up with creative suggestions. Overarching energy. How do you get your dollars to stretch further, especially when things are getting tough? Again, I was talking about the rainy day fund earlier. When things start getting difficult, some people are going to lose their jobs. as with all these tariffs and stuff like that, things are going to be inflationary. People are going to lose their jobs. There's going to be less revenue coming in. How do you stretch your dollars? How do you stretch your money to make it go further? And you might have to think back to what your parents did or your grandparents did on that one. Was it Jimmy Carter's grandson was talking about the little sticks or the things they had, so because Jimmy and Rosalind Carter were washing out their plastic bags and drying them so that they could reuse them. Just stuff like that. Oh, that's an interesting one. The lesson to be learned is the Knight of Cups. Going to the neighbor and borrowing a cup of sugar. This might also be the I want to say like pooling your resources, but yeah, kind of like pooling your resources. If maybe you don't really need a flat of 60 eggs, but if you've got 4 or 5 neighbors that all need a dozen eggs, and one of you goes to the store to get the 60, and you can save, say, half the money on it and split it up. It's look at your community, look at your neighbors, look at your family, your friends, and what can you do to pool together to help things get through. You don't have to do it on your own. You can leverage other people for the service they have. And again, maybe there's home improvements that need to be done, or home maintenance that needs to be done. Maybe you have somebody who's handy, and you can either pay them under the table or do something back for them. Like the bartering economy. They do something for you, you do something for them type of thing. The outcome is the Sun card. You'll get through it. We will get through it, and eventually the harder times will pass, and it will be sunny again. And when it's sunny, you make hay. But, in some ways, simplifying your life makes your life better. And going all the way back to this card on the foundation, where it complicates things. Don't look how to complicate your life. Look how to simplify it. Cutting back on some things, it's also kind of a mindset that, I'm denying myself this, I'm denying myself that. That's a mindset of fear and denial and lousy thinking. It's kind of like the instead of that, it's like the challenge of, okay, instead of thinking how you deny yourself, it's like, how can I do this? Maybe you spend $200 on groceries, and maybe the challenge is, how can I get my groceries for only $100 a week instead of $200 a week? How would I go about that? And view it as a challenge, a game. How do I do this? How can I stretch out my dollars? And again, I'm not saying you have to pick up every penny on the road that you see or anything along those lines, but it's being aware of your spending and your habits. And then, if you're aware of that, you're going to get more value out of your money, because you're not going to just toss it out. You won't be lazy with it. It's going to be like a full contact sport. If you have gym memberships, if you're not using it, just dump it. You can always come back later, but walks are free. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. I hope that my audience here, the folks watching this still here, I hope you don't suffer economically this year. But the reality is, this whole country is probably going to suffer economically. And not only the whole country, but the whole world is going to suffer economically, because these tariffs are going to cut back free trade, which means prices are going to go up. Inflation is going to go up. And it's unnecessary. And even if the tariffs are down, the prices aren't going to come back down. They never do. So this is just going to be our new reality for a while. And at least you have some time to brace for it and prepare it. Steel tariffs, Trump just raised tariffs on steel and aluminum by 25%. That's going to make cars more expensive. So if you have a vehicle that maybe you're thinking about getting a new one, well, you could pull the trigger now, or you can look at it as like, maybe I just need to make this car last a few years longer, and do the maintenance on it so that you don't have that extra expenditure of that new car. that sort of thing. Okay? Thank you again for supporting my channel. I do appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.